Getting right into today's video, we're starting off by removing my client's design. I'm going to be changing her design from this simple ombre design into a nice and subtle but so cute fall design. So we're starting off with my Efile at about 12,000 RPMs. I am using a 5-in-1 bit. Do not recall where this one's from. I think this one is still Kiara Sky. And it is in medium grit. I pretty much get all my 5-in-1 bits in medium grit. Now, if you are a nail tech that have tried to do a backfill like I do, and you just feel like it's just too much work, definitely get an extra coarse bit or a coarse bit and up your speed. Do not be scared just because I'm telling you guys my experience and pretty much what my methods are. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna work for you, so always take note of that. If you feel like your process is a little bit better, by all means, definitely keep using it that way or tweak my methods to fit to your liking better. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue to remove her design. This is kind of a lengthy process. I am now taking some nippers and we're gonna clip that away. She got just a little bit of accent crystals on that ring finger. She had an event to go to, so we decided to go very neutral, very simple and classy. And I feel like a nude to white ombre always does just that. And then we just added a little bit of spice with those crystals. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue to remove that. Always remember to move frequently across that nail. That is going to be key to prevent any discomfort, any heat spikes, or any burning to your client's natural nail. I have had a lot of y'all request time frames for each of the steps that I do, and I honestly have never really timed any of my sets like fully in depth and to see how each process kind of takes. But I will say that when I was taking clients full time, and even now, my clients are booked for 2 hours. Whether I get done earlier than that or depending on what design it is, I pretty much book them for 2-hour slots. It allows me enough time to do pretty much nail art that they want, and it also will sometimes give me, breaks in between my next client. So I tried paying attention during the process of removing her acrylic design, pretty much how I'm doing now. We are thinning that out, removing the bulk acrylic, leaving a very, very, very thin to non-existent layer of that in order to apply a new acrylic design. And I want to say for both hands, it was about 20-minute process. Again, if you feel like it's taking way too long, up your speed. Sometimes different e-files and different amount of pressure you're applying, or even the bits that you're using are completely different than mine. So do note that. But I want to say it was a good 20 minutes to remove the acrylic from both hands and get into my prep process. Now I'm going to be taking my hand file and we're going to be filing those sides. I'm pretty much reshaping her nails. Y'all, when I saw these nails, I was like, I cannot believe these are your natural nails. So I've been doing her nails for a while, and every time it just amazes me how beautiful her natural nail grows out and how quick and how strong and how beautiful they just look. Look at that. It looks like it would be an extension or a tip, but it is her natural nail. So it makes me want to grow mine out, but at the same time, I know I cannot with the process of growing out my nails. But if you needed a little boost, definitely this is the portion of the video that will give you that boost to go ahead and let your nails grow out. So I'm just taking my hand file. We're going to be filing those sides, making sure that that shape is nice and crisp. I did want to go ahead and just reshape them now before I applied my acrylic, because sometimes I will apply a little bit too much acrylic if the nail isn't too shaped, and then whenever I shape them at the end, I feel like they're just too bulky. So I would prefer to just pre-shape, square that tip off, and just prevent having to overfile at the end. Next, I'm going to be taking the small mandrel bit from Kiara Sky. I've used it in a few of my videos, and I know a lot of y'all have asked if I didn't like it or the reason why I switched back to my profiles one. Honestly, whatever is in hand's reach is pretty much what I go for, and if one or the other is dirty, that's pretty much the reason why I don't use it. So I just kind of have been alternating back and forth between this small one and the other one. I have the tools necessary to go in the cuticle area and get into those hard to reach areas without using the small mandrel bit. So honestly speaking, it's just whatever I have in front of me. This one is a really good alternative though if you feel like you don't want to use all the extra tools. Like I like to use diamond bits to get into those hard to reach areas, and if you just feel like it's an unnecessary process, definitely try to switch to this small one. It pretty much just eliminates that. I, however, am extremely scared that messing with my prep is going to make their nails lift. So even though I'm using a small mandrel bit, and yes, it makes me feel a little bit more comfortable skipping the next process, I'm still going in with my diamond bit. As y'all can see here, I'm using the tapered diamond bit from Profiles Backstage and speed at 4,000 RPMs, and I'm gonna go back into those hard to reach areas and file that very carefully. Low speed, low amount of pressure, and that's gonna do the trick. Next, I'm gonna be taking the small cuticle bit. This one is a go-to and definitely recommend it. Also from Profiles Backstage, my speed is still at 4,000 RPMs. I'm just gonna carefully buff off that dead skin. I don't think I did any type of nipping on her specifically because she didn't have any overgrowth of that skin. So I'm just simply going in with my ball bit. If you do feel like the ball bit isn't doing its thing, it might be time to switch it out for a new one, or you can always try upping the speed a little as well. Now I'm taking a lint-free wipe and a little bit of Young Nail Swipe. We're gonna go ahead and clean off the excess dust while also dehydrating her natural nail. This is gonna remove excess natural oils that our nails create in order for the product to adhere. I'm gonna be going in with a Triple X Bond from Not Polish. This is a primer, and this is going to ultimately help adhere that acrylic to her natural nail as well. Next, we're going in with our acrylic application. For reference, I'm using the Kiara Sky monomer. It has been my go-to lately. For my acrylic brush, I am using a size 12, and it is absolutely amazing. I love their brushes. Now for this nude color, I cannot tell you what color it is, and you will see here in a moment why. But I ended up trying it on her nail. It would have gone really good with the set that we're about to do, but the color just did not go with her skin tone. I thought it was a little bit too orange and it would kind of just throw it off against her skin. So y'all already know I am not scared to remove something so quick. So I just scraped it off right before it got dry, and we're going in with a new color. Y'all probably already know what color this is, but this is First Nude from Not Polish. It is one of my favorite nudes and definitely a must if you are looking for a good nude that goes really well with light skin tones like hers and dark like mine. This is it. Look how good it matches her skin tone. It is just so pretty and so perfect. So we're going to be going with that instead. I'm going in with my basic acrylic application. Now I am using a medium-sized bead of acrylic on her nails, and because her fingers are so skinny and her nail beds are just so thin and just perfect, I did over grab product, which is completely fine. All you have to do is kind of drag the excess down to the tip, and then you're pretty much just cutting off the excess with the tip of your brush. I'm simply using that medium ball of acrylic and patting it all the way down towards the tip, making sure those sides are nice and tight. And then we're going in with a smaller bead of acrylic right in the cuticle area, holding the finger down, tucking in those sides and blending everything out very easily. Now, if you are a newer nail tech and are wondering how do you get such a smooth surface and smooth application to where you pretty much don't have to file at the end, even though I always recommend y'all to do so, the key is the liquid to powder ratio that you are using to pick up your bead. And I've mentioned this a lot before in my videos, but I do have a very informational video on that in my beginner basics. So if you are struggling, I promise, watch that video and it will make such a huge difference. And I did also want to mention that the products you are using also make a huge difference in your application. So I use Not Polish, Kiara Sky, Young Nails. Any powder that has a good reputation is going to be key. the formula in a powder makes such a huge difference. For example, I could use the same liquid to powder ratio on a Glam and Glitz acrylic powder, and it just is not gonna go on smooth because the product itself is very chalky. So do make note of that, and definitely go check out my beginner basics videos. They are very informational. I go very in depth in all of the basics that you need to know when you're getting started to do nails. Now once everything is nice and dry, we're gonna go in with our Efile. I'm going in with the 5-in-1 bit at a speed of about 10,000 RPMs, and I'm focusing on that cuticle area, making sure that it is nice and flush to her natural nail. That is also gonna help prevent any lifting areas. If you have issues with lifting and you notice that your acrylic is very thick in that area, that is probably why. So make sure it is nice and flush and it looks like it's growing out naturally from underneath that cuticle. So I'm going in and filing that, and then very quickly going over the surface again because I applied my acrylic nice and smooth. I don't have to do an extensive amount of filing, but I still like to do that just in case. You never know if you missed a little area or there's any divots anywhere. You want to make sure that everything is nice and smooth. And then once again, we're going to be taking our hand file. This is the Tammy Taylor peel and stick file, if I didn't mention it already in this video. And I'm going to go in and file those sides first. We are just making sure that everything is nice and straight, and also kind of go slightly underneath as well, because you just never know if any acrylic got stuck under there or kind of just overflowed underneath the nail. You want to make sure that it is nice and crisp. Next, we're going to be flipping her hand around to look at the nails from her perspective, and I'm just simply filing away and making sure that it is nice and crisp. Now, I definitely don't do this step on every single client, but if I do feel like it is a little bit too bulky on the tip, I just go in underneath with my 5-in-1 bit and just carefully carve it out slightly to just make everything nice and even. Next, I'm taking my buffer to buff the surface of the nail and make everything super smooth for our nail art application. And then we're gonna be cleansing the surface. Of course, you can always have your client go wash their hands. I'm just using a lint-free wipe and a little bit of Young Nail Swipe, but you can also use a lint-free wipe and a little bit of alcohol if that helps. So for our nail art, I'm taking a bunch of different nude or brown tones from the gel art liners from Not Polish. And I added it on my little Artista palette from Veeda Bella. And I'm also gonna be using the long liner from Veeda Bella. And we are going to be taking those different colors and just creating swirls. My client had no idea what she wanted on her nails, and since it's fall and swirls are super in right now, I kind of ran the idea by her and she was super okay with it. So that is pretty much what we're doing. We're gonna be using a darker shade of brown, which is this one. And then I'm gonna go in with a lighter one to give it nice contrast. And then lastly, a little pop with some glitter. So you pretty much could just use the imagination that you have and add your swirls wherever. Make them thin if you'd like, make some areas thicker. I kind of just went with whatever came to my mind. And if it didn't go, then I just simply cleaned it up with my Veeda Bella Oopsie brush like I'm doing here. And a little bit of Young Nail Swipe is gonna do the trick. And I pretty much just thinned that out because I felt like it just was a little off. And then I am removing all that excess pigment very carefully. I like to use the pointed side for like those more intricate designs that I need to clean up. And then for like Frenchies and stuff, I use the other side because if y'all didn't know, these are double-sided brushes and it is nice and round on the opposite side. Next, I'm gonna be taking my lighter color. This one's more of like a creamish nude off-white type of color. And I'm taking my same long liner from Veeda Bella. I did go ahead and clean it off. Now, if you are curious as to how I clean my brushes, I've mentioned it before and I've showed it in some of my videos, but I pretty much just take a dry paper towel with zero product on it and I kind of fold it over top of the bristles and just wipe it through. Make sure that you're not using like a harsh motion or anything like that, but I don't really ever put any type of product on my liners because I get scared that they're gonna mess up. So that does a trick for me. I've never had issues of pigments transferring. You pretty much just do it over and over again until all the color is out, and I promise you with 1 or 2 swipes it should fully come off. Now I'm gonna go in with that gold liner, also from Not Polish. I will definitely look up the names of each of the colors, but I do not remember. I'm gonna be adding that in the opposite side of wherever I did the other lines and just add a cute little contrast with that golden glitter. Of course, we're curing all of that in the light in between layers. Do not forget that full 60 seconds. Now I'm going in with the top coat. I'm actually using the acrylic top coat from Kiara Sky. I found this in my drawer and I was like, why not give it a go? So we will give you guys an update on that. But I'm using a thin layer of that, and then we're gonna be popping that in the light for another 60 seconds, making sure that it is fully, thoroughly cured. And of course, always remember to wipe those sides before you pop it in the light to make sure that that shape stays nice and crisp. Once everything is nice and dry, we're gonna be adding some cuticle oil, and that pretty much concludes today's video. Let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a ton, and I'll see you guys next time.